If it ain't about the money, woo, it ain't about nothing. I'm talking about a real big bag. I ain't talking about no chump change. See, I'm on some other shit. I can't be worried about another bitch. I know what it is to be down and out, and I done had enough of it. Don't take it personal, no. It is what it is, yeah. You been on the same shit for years, yeah. Man, cause a nigga switch gears, yeah. Listen, I just can't sit back and wait on it, ooh. I gotta go get some money, hey. What me is for me, and can't nobody take that from me. Oh, yeah. I told them, they thought I was bullshit, hey. But look at me now, yeah. Hey. Sometimes you gotta prove shit. Just remember it take time and it won't happen overnight, yeah. Grind, yeah. You gotta sacrifice, yeah. I told them, they thought I was bullshit, hey. But look at me now. Sometimes you gotta prove shit, yeah. Just remember it take time and it won't happen overnight, yeah. Grind, yeah. You gotta sacrifice. They probably sitting around someone talking about me, but ask me, do I give a fuck? I don't even see you niggas. I'm probably someone counting up. I'm so focused, and haven't you noticed? I no longer fuck with you, cause you still on that old shit, yeah. And I want more than that, so I'm moving different, protecting my energy, yeah. Ain't no more loyalty, ain't no more squad shit. It's every man for himself. It won't fade me. I know I'm going hard for a reason. This is my season. If you didn't believe in me, hey, then you can't eat with me, oh. I told them, they thought I was bullshit, hey. But look at me now, yeah. Hey, sometimes you gotta prove shit. Just remember it take time and it won't happen overnight, yeah. Grind, yeah. You gotta sacrifice, yeah. I told them, they thought I was bullshit, hey. But look at me now. Sometimes you gotta prove shit, yeah. Just remember it take time and it won't happen overnight, yeah. Grind, yeah. You gotta sacrifice, yeah. I believe in it, hey. And you can't eat with me, yeah. You didn't believe in me, yeah. You can't eat with me, yeah. You didn't believe in it, hey. And you can't eat with me, yeah. Grind, yeah. You gotta sacrifice, yeah. I told them, they thought I was bullshit, ay. But look at me now, yeah. Ay. Sometimes you gotta prove shit. Just remember it take time and it won't happen overnight, yeah. Grind, yeah. You gotta sacrifice, yeah. I told them, they thought I was bullshit, ay. But look at me now. Sometimes you gotta prove shit, yeah. Just remember it take time and it won't happen overnight, yeah. Grind, yeah. You gotta sacrifice, yeah.
Good morning. Peace to the tribe. What's happening with you? So check this out. I know it's early. I don't expect most of y'all to be up right now, but I wanted to do this live and get it on out the way because for one, we kind of got our eye on this Carmelo Anthony case right now. It's a hot topic right now. Everybody's talking about it. The world is watching it right now to see what goes on. So for one, I wanted to get this live out the way early because there's some things I wanted to play for you guys. Hopefully the StreamYard will act right so the videos will play. But there's some things I wanted to play for you guys. So I wanted to start early. I also have to go to work today, so I wanted to go ahead and get this live out the way early. Many people will just probably come back and watch the replay, but I wanted to get this live out the way early so I have time to, finish the live and get some rest, before I go in today. Also, another reason I wanted to go ahead and get this live in is because I know today is closing arguments concerning this case. Now, I'm going to say before I start these videos, I'm going to say this case is dirty. It's a dirty case. I'm going to say, I have changed the way I looked at this case a little bit. Um, I have changed my thoughts a little bit, but as far as how dirty the case is, the case is so dirty. It's being when I say it's dirty, right? My reasoning for saying it's dirty is because there's some things coming out about this case that's crazy, and it shouldn't be happening. I One of the things, I think I showed y'all a video the other morning where I felt like even if Carmelo is convicted, um, I think there's room enough for an appeal. Just off just the way the jury was selected. I think it's a lot of mishaps in this case that can cause an appeal. And now there's some other things that have hit the table as of yesterday that don't look so good either. And I'm gonna play a couple of my videos to show y'all what I'm talking about. One thing is the media coverage. I think that's unfair in this case. The media coverage, and also the allegation that the judge, the prosecutor, and um, the father all know each other. I don't think that's fair. If this judge knows these people, I don't think that's fair, and I think it's dirty if they allow it to go through with this judge knowing the prosecutor and the father. All right, so like I said, it's a few videos I want to show y'all. I want to show y'all a video from an attorney who is in Texas. She is actually a Texas lawyer, and she's going to say some things that, dealing with the law, actually dealing with the law, not emotions, not what you feeling. She's going to say some things dealing with the law. But what little bit I did see of her video, she was kind of touching on what will work for Carmelo, what won't work for Carmelo, what will work for the Metcalfs, what won't work for the Metcalfs. So I'm going to save that video for last because that's about a 30-minute video, and I want to let her talk. But, I'm going to start off with my video. This one right here, I'm just asking the question, is this a media scandal? Is the media actually reporting back to us everything we need to know about this case, or is the media withholding information? From what I hear, the judge actually handpicked the media, and it's not a lot of media coverage. And I feel like, we're depending on somebody else's accounts of what they heard in the courtroom, and then some people are reporting certain things and some people aren't reporting things. So with that being said, I'm going to play this video. This is my video where I'm talking about the media and why I think it could possibly be unfair in this trial. So y'all check this out, and I'll come back after this. What up, tribe? So check this out. This is getting crazy, crazier by the day. This Carmelo Anthony trial going on in Texas. Now I'm gonna tell you, I'm starting to look at this case with a different eye. You feel what I'm saying? I'm starting to see some things that don't seem right. Right. One of the things that I really don't think seems right is, but I get it, they don't want too much media inside the court. They don't want media. They're trying to limit the media that reports this. This is kind of, I get it, but it's kind of unfair, I think, because we have to depend on other people's
accounts of what's going on in that courtroom. We don't actually know if everybody is reporting back the information correct. We don't know if everybody is reporting all of the information, that we need to know.
The media is intentionally doing dishonest reporting about what is going on in the trial of Carmelo Anthony. They're conveniently not going into the details and the inconsistencies in the witness's testimony, but luckily I was able to find somebody on Reddit who was actually detailing what each of the witnesses were testifying to. So allow me to paint you the picture of what I believe actually happened. I went through each of the witnesses' testimonies, and it's very clear that not everybody had a clear picture of what happened. So on the day of the stabbing, it started pouring down rain, which caused a delay in the track meet. Very common for athletes, and each of the schools seemingly brought their own tents and set them up so that people could sit underneath them. Carmelo's coach testified that they did not have a tent, that it was actually coming later with a second bus, and they didn't have enough students to justify bringing a tent at that moment, so they didn't have a place to shelter from the rain. Anthony apparently was friends with one of the kids from the tent. Several people saw he and Anthony dap up, greeting each other, and seemingly Carmelo Anthony, while he was in the tent, made some joke about "y'all are ass," referring to their football team. The friend, who weirdly enough denied kind of how close his relationship was with Carmelo Anthony, said that it was a joke. And by the way, Carmelo Anthony is not only the captain of the track team, but he was also captain of the football team. His senior year had been cut short because he had had an injury, a very severe one, and his shoulder was messed up. He had to wear a sling for part of the year. They also don't mention that Carmelo Anthony was already in the tent before the Metcalf twins entered it. It wasn't until the Metcalf twins came to the tent that they seemed to be the ones who had a problem with him being there. And it's pretty inconsistent across the 9 witnesses from the incident about where Austin's brother even was during this. Some said that he was right next to his brother. Some said that he was in the back of the tent. Some said that he was a couple bleachers down. Witness said that they heard Anthony say, "I'm a nobody," when students were asking why he was under their tent, and there doesn't seem to be any consistency on what the words Anthony was saying. And while they're trying to say that Anthony is the aggressor, the person that he was in there seeing literally thought it was funny, and he took out his phone and pretended to record it. I personally don't believe that. No teenager just pretends to record things, especially since one of the witnesses said that after the incident, students were passing around a phone and looking at Anthony's Instagram page, which doesn't make sense. You wouldn't just pass the phone around. You would just ask for the handle and you would go to his Instagram page. What I think they were passing around was the video. It's clear that Austin specifically did not want Anthony in the tent and was ganging up on him. I think they all were, because both Anthony and Metcalf were frustrated and escalated, according to one of the witnesses. And mind you, there is no policy that these kids can't be in each other's tent. And in fact, there are supposed to be coaches at every tent because it's a bunch of teenagers have nothing to do. So where was the adults, in my opinion? And it didn't start out as a big deal because Austin Metcalf sat down on the bleacher in front of Anthony, which sounds honestly aggressive. He came in, he started antagonizing him, he sat down next to him, they started calling each other bitch. And nobody is consistent with the shoving part. Some say it was a small one-handed shove. Another witness said, and I believe this is the true story, that there was minor pushing for a couple of minutes, that both Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony were angry and aggressive. Several witnesses say that they didn't believe Anthony when he was bluffing, that Metcalf and Anthony were frustrated and it escalated, and some called the shove a nudge. And one of the witnesses, turns out, told the cops that Anthony had told a joke and that Metcalf had pushed on Anthony in a lineman move, which is an inward and upward motion. Some of the witnesses said that both of the Metcalf brothers were ganging up on Anthony. And I think these kids have a very skewed perspective of what defending them was, because they said that Anthony said, "You're not going to move me, you're a bitch." The witness told the jurors Austin was defending us. That's not defending you. I think y'all went through a very traumatic effect, and you can't come to terms with the fact that I think your friend was the aggressor. But you can't say that he deserved it. So obviously this guy has to be the perpetrator. It has to be his fault. It has to be a murder.
I think that's very interesting. We don't even know if some of the media that is reporting that was allowed to have press passes is in somebody's pockets, or somebody's in their pockets, and they're in there to specifically push a narrative through their reporting. So I think that's kind of, I feel like that's not fair. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to depend on someone else's accounts of what's going on in that courtroom. Now, what it seems like we're starting to find out is somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. And here's one example of where I feel like somebody's lying and everybody's not reporting this. Now, the guy Eddie, they said Carmelo didn't know anybody in the tent. He was just there. He just popped up in somebody's tent. But he did know somebody in the tent. He did know somebody in the tent, a guy named Eddie.
There are some explosive details being reviewed in this Carmelo Anthony case. First things first, I was able to get into the courtroom. Second thing is, what we were able to find out today is that Carmelo Anthony didn't just go into the tent. He asked, "Is it okay if I sit here?" And even made small talk with the kid next to him about the weather, using the words, "Crazy weather, huh?" To which the kid responded, "Yeah, it is." Not only that, we found out that Eddie, Carmelo's friend, when he realized that Carmelo was in the tent, actually switched seats with another kid so that he and Carmelo could be seated next to each other and talk. It was also revealed on cross-examination that Carmelo Anthony and Eddie, although may not be best friends, but had a really close relationship because Carmelo Anthony's girlfriend, her parents and Eddie's parents are really good friends. And Eddie has tagged along with Carmelo and his girlfriend when they were out on dates.
Now, this guy named Eddie got on the stand and said, I wouldn't say I know him like that. I don't know him. But then the defense shows, oh, you know him. You know him, brother. You definitely know him.
Prosecutors questioned 18-year-old Eddie Parra, a teammate of Metcalf at Memorial High School, and the person who greeted Anthony at the Memorial tent. Parra told the court he and Anthony were acquaintances before the track meet, and in response, the defense showed pictures of the two together on multiple occasions, including at a track meet in March of 2025, sitting together on a bench and talking.
Think about inside that tent. If the guy you know or think you cool with, y'all, they say y'all were under the tent chopping it up. Y'all were talking. So just think that if this guy turned on him inside the tent.
I think there was a video and they deleted it because it would have looked bad on Austin.
Unlike some of the previous witnesses, she said she did think a fight was about to break out. That is important. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why there were a number of phones confiscated, because somebody's got this on video. Someone has this on their phone. So we've got a verbal altercation that catches the attention of students in an adjacent tent. And again, as I say, what typically happens, verbal altercation precedes a physical altercation. And during that verbal altercation part, a lot of students have their phone ready to record what they think is going to happen next. So this is interesting. This is interesting right here. She recalled hearing Anthony say, "If you want me to move, you have to move me." Okay. She testified that Anthony was more aggressive than Metcalf. Under cross-examination, this teen admitted that he was worried about what might happen next, and he did take Anthony's warning seriously because he saw Anthony's hand in the bag, apparently holding something. The witness admitted he stood up when Metcalf stood up. The witness admitted he stood up when Metcalf stood up because he didn't want there to be a fight. Okay. So he agreed that Metcalf was standing. He was standing. Metcalf's brother was standing, but Anthony was sitting. This witness further described Metcalf's next action as a grab with two hands that knocked Anthony backward. He testified that that's when he saw Anthony's hand come out of the bag. All right.
I say that because this person that Anthony was talking to didn't step up and say to the guys, "Hey, he's with me. We're just hanging out talking."
And then he gets on the stand and he turns on them
Carmelo's lawyer had to show a bunch of photos of the two together hanging out.
That's interesting. Shows y'all at other events together at school and out of school. Somebody's lying, but everybody's not reporting it. Everybody's not reporting it.
Some of the kids were giving different statements to the police last year, right after it happened, like not mentioning the cursing. Another witness characterized Austin's putting his hands on Carmelo as a warning. The witnesses across the board all pretty much agreed that this lasted 4 to 6 minutes. If someone is harassing you for 4 to 6 minutes, as a woman, I too would be grabbing my backpack and unfolding the blade in there because things were progressing. This witness said that Austin Metcalf tried to force Anthony out. After Metcalf put his hands on him, that's when he got stabbed. If this had been an actual problem and not just a couple of kids bullying the black kid they didn't know under the tent, then they would have gone and gotten an adult that should have fucking been there to begin with. And that is very obvious on cross-examination of a witness when the lawyer said if Anthony and a friend were outside of the tent, what was wrong with that? And the witness, who was also on the football team and was part of this little group, said it was because of the proximity to the tent. But every witness who saw the stabbing said that Carmelo was sitting on the bleachers and that Metcalf was standing up and pushing him. Anthony never got out of his seat. And not only that, the wound and the blade prove that he did not even try to stab him. He just held it out and Austin went on the blade. You know how I know this? Because the blade itself is 3.5 inches long. Everyone said that Austin leaned in to push him and Carmelo stabbed him. There's no dispute about that. Anthony was sitting, Austin was standing over him, getting ready to shove him, and he goes into the blade. So if the blade was 3.5 inches and the wound was 2 inches deep, people, what does that mean? It means he could not have stabbed at him as Austin was leaning in to shove him. Austin had to have been the one who fell on the blade. I'm sorry, but it seems pretty obvious to me. Like, this is self-defense. How could Anthony be the aggressor if he never fucking moved from his seat? That is literally stand your ground. And all of this could have been avoided if he had just minded his own business or gotten his coach. And the prosecutor kind of proves my point when he asked the doctor if there were any defensive wounds on Austin, and there were none. He already had his hands out to push him. He crossed that physical boundary and fell on that knife. There is never a situation when a person is sitting down and a person is standing up, physically impeding you, that person is not the aggressor. And if this was the opposite, this wouldn't have even been a trial. I have a feeling the defense is going to tell us that there is a documented history of aggression with Austin. Let's face it, the prosecution is resting on racism in this case. That's exactly why they struck all of the black jurors. They are just hoping that they will just gloss over all the inconsistencies in this story, because not a single person out of the 9 witnesses that were there had a consistent story. And that's what the media is not telling you.
Here's another situation inside the courtroom that a lot of people are not reporting. Why is Jeff Metcalf tampering with the witness, allegedly?
This is not good, guys, but it's starting to make sense. So the judge sat there for 20 to 30 minutes while the father is basically telling the witness on the stand what to say. And we have all of these people in court who didn't say anything.
We heard Queen Sheba said in court, she saw Jeff Metcalf instructing witnesses.
One thing that I've constantly seen in writing or I've heard is they want to ensure that he receives a fair trial. When I see someone instructing a witness, why would you do that? Because you also want Austin to receive a fair trial. Why would you do that? Why would you risk it all just to win a yes or a no from a head nod? You don't need to. Let the state do their job. That's it. I don't understand why people do dumb stuff. I like to walk in with my own thoughts. I don't like anybody tampering with this witness. I don't like anybody messing with my thoughts. So I don't listen. Do you think the jury noticed the witness tampering? I mean, I think everybody noticed that he was looking at someone. But we thought it was the jury. And I'm sure they were like, what's going on? But they can't. They have to focus. I saw it. And I think a deputy saw it, because I remember a deputy approaching the line where Mr. Metcalf was seated and just kind of turning towards that direction, towards the back of where he was seated. But why would you do that?
Queen Sheba was not the only one that said it. If you don't believe me, believe this.
Final witness, we won't say their name because he's 17 years old. He is a student at Memorial High School, which is Austin Metcalf's high school. And in just kind of reading the notes of the day here, when it came to the defense questioning him, and he was a defense witness, so this is someone who knew Austin Metcalf, was on the team, and the defense is calling him. He had, I felt like, a little bit of a different perspective of what happened compared to some of the other students from this high school who have taken the stand.
Yeah, Chris, and it was interesting before he took the stand, or right when he took the stand, the defense attorney said that they had not talked before. It was like, sir, we haven't talked before. It was just 2 minutes right now in the hallway. I thought that was interesting because if you're trying to, gain an edge or gain a leg up, why would you have a witness that you haven't done, witness preparation with? But anyway, they start talking. They're walking through the events. It takes them about 20 to 30 minutes to walk through the lead ups to everything and what this kid saw. And we heard this for the first time today. He said, Carmelo, the whole thing with the hand in the bag and touch me and see what happens. He said that Austin Metcalf tapped Carmelo on the shoulder, like as an annoyance, like, oh yeah, touch me and see what happens. And then he says something that we haven't heard yet. He said, Carmelo said, okay, well, hit me and see what happens, or punch me and see what happens, which we haven't heard that testimony from any student so far. So I'm just wondering, why it was just now said here. We've had over 10 of these student witnesses, and it was just said now during this witness. And then, as he was testifying, he was kind of disagreeing with some of the things that the defense attorney was throwing out. Obviously asking questions to kind of fit the narrative of the defense here with the self-defense claim. And one of their, narratives that they're throwing out is that, these Metcalf boys were some big boys, 6'1", 6'2", linebackers, over 200 pounds. And they started talking about the size comparison thing again, starting to go down that rabbit hole. And they were talking about Austin. Austin was 6'1", 213, according to the medical examiner. And his brother Hunter, the defense is like, well, Hunter was similar in size, trying to make them out to be, the big bullies and all. That's the narrative they're going down. And as the defense attorney is asking this, I can see Jeff Metcalf, the father, just shaking his head.
Oh, he saw it too. So we're not going to just say it was Queen Sheba. And now that I'm reading the comments, now I got to go back and look at the other stations that said it. But nobody is highlighting this. I just responded to a comment. And sometimes you just have to have common sense. Somebody says, well, if this is true, why is there no other major news outlet reporting? Ma'am, what major news outlet would report this when none are in the court? The only news outlets that are in the court are in Dallas or, that area. There is no other news outlet. So what are you talking about? But yeah, he saw it too. Jeff nodding to the witness. So these people don't even know each other. They don't talk to each other. So you're saying then they're all crazy and they just thought, come on now.
Shaking his head like these boys are not the same size. And the young man on the stand said, I wouldn't say that. And he actually said that Austin was substantially bigger.
Nodding to a witness. It wasn't just Queen Sheba. There were others.
Why are people not reporting these things? This is why I feel like it's bad for the media to be limited and we're not allowed to see what's going on in that courtroom, because how do we know the media that has been chosen is not in somebody's pocket? These are mainstream medias mainly that's in that courtroom with those press passes. And we all know how mainstream media goes. We know how that works. Somebody's lying. But we're gonna see what happens.
There is some shit going on with this trial. Like I said, we're gonna stay on it. Every little thing we are talking about it, because as somebody said in the chat, in my comments, why is nobody else talking about it? I don't know. I don't have those people brains. I'm just finding different videos and finding different things that people there stated. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. You are saying that there's no larger media that's reporting it. Well, what large media that's there? And frankly, I'm going to do a video on that, on this topic later. Queen Sheba, well, I'm not even going to say Queen Sheba, but the judge orders the media outlet that he wanted in the courtroom. This is not like a regular trial where they give different media outlets all over like the world or whatever, different, permissions to come in. He kept it centralized to Texas. Why did he do that? Like, why did he handpick these specific media? Frankly, why is this not on television? We've watched trials before where they don't show the kid's face because we understand that they are minors. Why did they not want this trial to be on television? I'll tell you why. Because it's some BS, okay? They are trying to railroad and set this kid up.
So with that being said, you guys, that's why I'm kind of looking at this case a little funny. I'm looking at this case saying, boy, this is dirty, dirty work. Like this is dirty work going on. And as much as people try to say this doesn't have to do with race and this and that, hey, it's turning out to look like race is playing a very big part in this. Now, I'm not saying race played a part in the actual confrontation that went on under the canopy or whatever, but I'm saying it's very much turned into a race thing with this case. But this case is looking very dirty. You got the judge, he's handpicked what media he wants to be in there to cover the case. Nobody else can see this case. It's very limited, but the main media that he wants in there is from the Texas area, from what I understand. It's mainly from the Texas area, and they were handpicked by him. This isn't sounding like fair trial. No matter what you may think about Carmelo, whether he's guilty or he's not guilty, this is sounding very dirty. This isn't sounding like a fair trial. It's making me look at this case. I'm wondering how this case, with today being closing arguments, I'm wondering how this case is going to turn out, especially after, people start making noise about this. Because if it's true that the judge, the prosecutor, and the father all know each other, that's not good. And I don't see fair trial. Check this out. What's up, y'all? This is Chief Cali checking back in, right? And we still got our eye on this trial, the Carmelo Anthony murder trial. The question that's going around now is, what the hell is really going on? I mean, what is this about the father, the judge, and the prosecutor
all being linked together. Now, I'm going to ask y'all this question. Do y'all think this sets up a mistrial? Do y'all think something's kind of fishy? That the judge, the prosecutor, and the father seem to be all friends, allegedly.
Now, Greg Willis, the DA, is friends with Jeff Metcalf, who is friends with Jeff Roach, who is the judge. Correction, his name is John Roach. They attended Christmas parties together. They are friends. And we know that friends are going to protect each other, right?
So, what he's saying is the prosecutor is friends with the judge. Okay, okay. Yeah, I could see that. He's saying that by him being friends with the judge and them, basically allegedly partying or whatever it was that they attended together, this is not good.
Secret Service Sam here with a Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf trial update. Now, earlier in one of my videos, I mentioned that Morris Dwayne Turner had informed me that Jeff Metcalf, the DA, and Judge Roach all knew each other. We're friendly together. And now we have that proof. Look at this photo. This is a photo of Jeff Metcalf, John Roach, the judge, and Greg Willis, who is the DA. Conflict of interest, anyone? I don't know. I am still working to verify this picture. I entered it in ChatGPT. It says it doesn't seem to be fake. If anybody out there can confirm this picture for me, I think that is also very important because we need to keep the truth at the head of all of this.
The gig is up, people. They done found the photo of the judge, Jeff Metcalf, the dad, having a celebration at a Christmas party. Thanks to Sam's Secret Service, he came with the proof, but I want to say he was having trouble confirming it. So I did my own investigation and did a little research myself just to confirm that the image is real and not AI generated. And it seems nobody have taught Jeff Metcalf to keep his Facebook page on private while the trial is active, because all of this evidence is all on his Facebook page. Literally, all you have to do is search up Jeff Metcalf and all of the images is right there. And the jury and nobody see this as a conflict of interest? You have to be fucking kidding me. This not only proved that Carmelo is not guilty, but this case is fucking corrupt. They've been trying to play in our face this whole fucking time. And it's all just out there in the public. We need to get the fucking jury to see this shit before they make their verdict, because this does not sit right with me. This is a bunch of bullshit. If they don't dismiss this case and throw this fucking case out and give Carmelo a not guilty, I don't think this is going to sit well with the community, especially with all of this evidence and proof out. That's something that they damn sure don't want to deal with.
So I'll ask the question again. What the hell is going on? Do you think Carmelo is actually getting a fair trial? No matter what you think about what he did, how he did it, do you think he's getting a fair trial? Last video we did, we talked about the media. Is the media a scandal? It seems like the judge handpicked who he wanted to be in that courtroom covering the case. How we know the media is telling us everything? Check this out. We got to figure out what's going on. And we got to figure out if this guy is getting a fair trial. I told you, just looking at that jury, it doesn't look like a fair trial. And now we're hearing that the father, the prosecutor, and the judge are linked.
They know each other, could possibly be friends. We're going to keep our eye on this trial. So I'm looking at this trial through a different lens. Someone came in and said that this is not the judge. Okay, so I didn't state in this video that it was a fact. I didn't state it was a fact that that's the judge or whatever. I said this is what social media is putting out there, that they're linked together. So we don't have a whole lot to go on, especially in this case. Everybody's tight-lipped. The judge is handpicking the media. The jury is the jury is funny looking. It's a whole lot going on. So I just wanted to, that's why I called it keeping our eye on this case. Maybe it's a fact, maybe it's not a fact that they all know each other, but I'm asking the question, if it turns out to be true, do y'all think this is cause for a mistrial? Do y'all think this is called for a mistrial or a dismissal? Because this is looking dirty all the way around. Now, another thing was brought up about why Hunter didn't testify. Some people say Hunter didn't testify because he's a liar. But I believe the reason he didn't testify, I think yesterday, was because they couldn't locate him. Now, why they couldn't locate him, if that is, a fact, why they couldn't locate him would be I'm very interested to know why he wouldn't have been there. And this is a case about his brother. That's what I'm hearing, is they couldn't locate him yesterday. All right. So now this last video I'm going to play. It's a little lengthy. It's about 30 minutes, and I'm going to try to let it play through. But this is an actual Texas lawyer. She actually practices in Texas, and she's going to break down. He said he ran off on the plug. She's going to break down a lot of the laws, and like I said, depending on where you stand in this case, you may not like some of the things she has to say as far as the law, not your emotions, but as far as the law. So again, I wanted to find somebody in Texas who could speak to, some of the legal aspects of this trial. And her name is Attorney Simone, and she actually practices in the state of Texas. So I'm gonna get this video started so y'all can hear some of the things she has to say. And, you might be surprised by some of the things she has to say.
Attorney Simone, and in this video, I break down what it is you need to know. Hey y'all, I'm your legal bestie, Attorney Simone, and in this video, I break down what it is you need to know about the Carmelo Anthony case law, okay? I break down exactly what law that each side in the Carmelo Anthony trial must prove. Hit that like and hit that subscribe as you join. Now, I've seen a ton of misconceptions and misstatements of the law. So that's why here we're going to focus on the law, and I want you to tell me in the comments down below what facts you believe sway towards either side. Now, I'm just going to jump right in. If you're new here, I'm very ADD, hence I don't even have an intro. I just want to hop right into this, but I'm going to just go ahead and let you know, as an attorney, what success would look like on the side of Carmelo's legal team. just as an attorney, a Texas attorney at that. For those of you who are familiar with me, I'm actually from Dallas. Okay. So I'm very familiar with Frisco's history and their legacy of racism, their legacy of injustice, their legacy of mistreating Black children. That is a thing. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it's a thing. But more specifically, as attorneys or in the legal system, how to navigate these facts in this trial and what the best case scenario is. Here, I believe the best case scenario for Carmelo's legal team would be a hung jury.
You're one sentence away from launching your website with Base 44. Since the beginning of the internet, there's never been such a fun, fast, and intelligent way to launch online.
I see no way they would get a not guilty verdict with this jury on these facts. I'm just going to start there. If that upsets you, you can go ahead and click off this video. But
I also said the same thing. I don't see him getting, I see him getting convicted. I'm sorry. I see him especially with this jury selection. Now I would be so surprised. I would be so surprised if with this jury selections they come back and they acquit him or whatever. I would be tremendously surprised, but I don't see it. But hey, we've seen crazier things with the Rick Child case. So, who knows? And that's why I'm doing this live early so we can get ready for the closing arguments or whatever, because we might have a verdict, today or this week, but I would be so surprised too if he's acquitted or whatever. But with this jury selection, I don't see it. But at the same time, I also told y'all I feel like I see an appeal setting up too. Also, even if he is convicted, I kind of see a setup for an appeal.
I'm going to tell you my experience based on nearly 20 years of practicing law. Okay. So it's not going to necessarily be what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you this is what I believe would be the best case scenario for Carmelo's legal team. And then, of course, we know for the state, what they want is for Carmelo to serve the majority of the rest of his life in prison. In fact, it has been rumored, and I have not fact-checked it, but it's been rumored that both sides have been trying to see if they could negotiate numbers on the table that perhaps Carmelo would feel comfortable accepting. Now, in that standard, I do believe that that is the case because that happens frequently before the case is given to the jury. Now, the case has not yet been given to the jury. And allegedly on the table is 40 to 60 years for a young man who has no prior history. Now, also, as an initial matter, before we hop into the law, I have to address the elephant in the room. So this case has been very racially charged by both sides. Members of the African-American community have come in support of Carmelo, and a variety of whites have come in support of Austin Metcalf, that's the victim, and his family. Now, for those trying to understand why this case has been so upsetting to many in the African-American community, I won't claim to speak for our entire race, but I will speak as an attorney. And as an attorney, this case simply seems to be overcharged. So for many in the African American community, they're not expecting or feeling like, oh, he should walk free with zero consequence. Let me be very clear. That's not it. But what many do feel is that Carmelo should have been charged and treated the way any 17-year-old white boy with no criminal history who stabbed someone one time, not a bunch of times, but one time under these facts would have been treated. And many believe, even those in the legal community, believe that a first, not second, but a first degree inward charge, this is YouTube, so I'm going to use that type of language, that a first degree inward charge was excessive. And by excessive and overcharging, what we mean is the charge was too extensive, was more than what justice would require. that justice could have been received through, for example, a manslaughter charge.
I agree. And I said, I do not believe he's going to get the self-defense claim, and I do not believe he's going to get first-degree murder. I don't think he's going to get first degree. I believe he'll get a lesser charge, but and I was thinking manslaughter too. I was thinking that too. But first degree, I don't see him getting first degree. I see him getting a lesser charge, if anything.
Manslaughter would mean it was not necessarily premeditated, that someone didn't go in and say, I want you to pass away. You see what I'm saying? Let's go into the law and then let's go from there. And at the end, I want you to tell me, do you think the current charge, which is first degree M-word, is most appropriate? Or do you think manslaughter could have been more appropriate? Let's get into the law. Now, first,
Opti Science lets you.
I definitely think manslaughter was. I definitely think manslaughter should have been a charge, but I'm not sure if manslaughter is even on the table with him. But I don't know. We'll find out.
For an even simpler, more.
the first degree M word means it is a premeditated M, right? But to be clear, in Texas, there's a huge misconception. The state does not actually have to prove premeditation the way that people think of, first degree M word, from TV. Texas law is different. Here, Carmelo is charged with a first degree M word for allegedly fatally stabbing Austin Metcalf during a confrontation at a track meet. Now, Anthony's defense here, we know, is claiming self-defense, but under the law, to prove the premeditation, prosecutors generally have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt two things. One, that Carmelo caused the death of Austin. We know that, right? So to do that, you have to show Austin, they have to prove that Austin died and that Carmelo's act caused this. No question there. We've got element one. Part two that they have to prove is that Anthony acted with the required mental state. Now, this is the part where I really want to hear you guys' opinion. That mental state is either intent or knowledge. Now,
and that's what I said. It's going to be hard to prove intent. His intent is going to be hard. That's why I don't think he's going to get first degree murder at all. I don't think you're not going to be able to prove his intent.
The state does not have to prove that, for example, Carmelo planned this for days or that Carmelo came there intending to unalive someone. They can prove M word if they show one of two things, either that he intentionally caused the death, meaning he had a conscious objective, like he went there with a desire to cause the death. Now that I think would be more difficult to prove, that he went over there and he said, I'm going to come over under this canopy in the rain and I am going to nab you. And my goal is for you to be unalive. No, but the second one is more likely the route that the prosecution is going to argue in their closing. And that is that he knowingly caused the unaliving. That means, quote, he was aware his conduct was reasonably certain to cause death. Just aware the conduct was reasonably certain to cause death. Now, there are some facts that go to both sides on this one too. Here, though, Carmelo being aware that his conduct could cause certain death, that aware that it was reasonably certain to cause death. And remember, this is what would be reasonable for a 17-year-old boy. So it's important when you think of that reasonable standard, reasonable based on who he is and his perspective as a reasonable 17-year-old. Now, a jury can infer intent from different circumstances, right? So circumstances like the type of weapon used. where he was stabbed, the force that was used. Now, there's a lot of talk about the type of weapon. I want to be clear. I had been saying from the beginning, people were like, it was illegal for him to have that knife at the track meet. No, it's not. Stop making shit up. Google's free, baby. Google is free. Texas law says you can bring a knife so long as it's less than 5 inches long on campus premises.
And that was a question that I had. Okay, I knew it was legal to carry the knife that he had. It's a pocket knife. It's a 3.5-inch pocket knife, I believe. Now, I came to understand that it was legal for him to bring, to carry that knife in the state of Texas. That's not illegal. Where I was confused at was, although it's legal to carry that knife, was he allowed to, bring it onto a school event? And according to this attorney, she's saying he is able to bring it to an event. So I'm just going off of what this Texas attorney is stating.
Track meet. No, it's not. Stop making shit up. Google's free, baby. Google used where he was stabbed, the force that was used. Now, there's a lot of talk about the type of weapon. I want to be clear. I had been saying from the beginning, people were like, it was illegal for him to have that knife at the track meet. No, it's not. Stop making shit up. Google's free, baby. Google is free. Texas law says you can bring a knife so long as it's less than 5 inches long on campus premises. It was a pocket knife. There are a lot of kids who have pocket knives. So the knife itself wasn't illegal. The other way I knew that you could know that the knife wasn't illegal is if it was, trust and believe, they would have charged him for that too. So the knife, because it was only approximately 3 inches, that was okay. Now, many have said, why would he bring a knife to a track meet? I do think that the defense should have made at least some attempt to, it would have been helpful if they made an attempt to address why he had the pocket knife there. For example, was he a Boy Scout? Did he, frequently use it for different tasks, whether he was in wood shop or we don't have wood shop in school anymore, but why did he have a pocket knife? Because some pocket knives I'll say, nowadays they have some that have multiple things on it. It may have the pocket knife. It could have a nail file. It could have a variety of things. Or people just have pocket knives, right? That is not actually unusual. They're acting like he just walked around with a sword in his pocket. That didn't happen. But again, the type of weapon that was used, where the person was stabbed. So here he was stabbed in the heart. So an argument could be that, well, he should have known that stabbing someone there could cause death. However, there was also discussion that Austin was standing over him. He was below him. So it could have been how the weapon was held that is where it impacted him. All of this should be pulled together in closing statements in a way that is persuasive to each side. Also, what was interesting is the jury can also infer intent from the statements that were made after the fact. One of the interesting statements was there was a discussion between Carmelo and I believe it was the police, but also his coach. And Carmelo was like, he's not going to die. He's not going to die. It was like he was in shock. He couldn't process, no way. That could be inferred to use. He wasn't intending it and he was surprised that it occurred. Those are some of the facts that can go each way.
Smart founders know something most people miss. Get your domain name even if you're not ready to launch your business. With Wix.
In addition, so you also want to focus, the jury is going to focus on statements that were made before and after the confrontation. So, for example, prosecutors can argue that a knife, again, thrust into a vital area, shows intent or knowledge, but the defense can argue the act was a panic response during a fight. I want you to focus on that language, panic response. The defense should really try and rely on a theme of panic response because panic response can negate intent. Because when you're panicking, you're not intending something. When you're panicking, you are just reacting, right? It says the act was a panic response during a fight and not an intentional unaliving. In the state, and then secondly, I want to be clear here, because people seem to merge two different things. One is because this is M word, they have to prove premeditation. If they can show, they as in the defense, can show this was a panic response, then it's not premeditation. If they do that, they don't even have to get into the self-defense. Because secondly, we're going to talk about the self-defense, and spoiler alert, I'm going to let you know that self-defense argument is going to be really weak here. In fact, I think
I've been saying that. I've said that from the start. I said self-defense, he's going to have a large uphill battle. I've said that since day one, that self-defense argument is going to be an uphill battle. Not saying he can't win it, especially as dirty as this case is. Not saying he can't win it. I don't see him winning it. But I said the same thing. That self-defense case, that self-defense claim, I don't see it.
we're going to talk about the self-defense, and spoiler alert, I'm going to let you know that self-defense argument is going to be really weak here. In fact, I think the stronger argument for the defense would be panic response, unintentional M-word. Why? Because as of right now, there is no manslaughter on the table. It is only M-word. Okay? Because of that.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't even know what's on the table. Oh, I didn't know. So he don't even have, Carmelo doesn't even have manslaughter on the table. That's interesting. So, wow. I didn't even know manslaughter wasn't on the table. So he's looking at first degree, maybe second. It's second on the table. Wow. He doesn't even have, he can't even fall back on manslaughter. That's deep.
If you argue panic response, it's not intentional and it should be a not guilty. However, if the state later decides, Your Honor, we'll allow the jury to deliberate on manslaughter.
Okay, so if you beat the murder one, you beat the, okay, that's interesting. Okay, so it's murder or nothing in this case too. So isn't this what was in the Rick Child case? Hello, Barbara. And shout out to everybody checking in. Shout out to I know it's early, y'all. I know it's early. I wanted to get this live on out the way because I do know I'm in Montana, so I'm 2 hours behind you guys on the East Coast. So that's why I went ahead and did this live, because I'm not sure what time the closing arguments start today. So I wanted to go ahead and get this out the way. Okay, so if you beat the M1, you beat, okay, I'm learning something. Okay, all right. Okay, got you. Okay.
Then that panic response would actually make it manslaughter unless you can prove self-defense. You see what I'm saying there? So basically, I'm saying self-defense is weak here. And if there's only M-word on the table, I think better than a self-defense argument would be arguing panic response, unintentional. Y'all let me know in the comments what you think. Hello. Also, there's some people.
Now, where I'm lost at is where she's losing me at right now is if she's saying it's not on the table and she's saying this would be a better, the panic response would be a better choice. How do you put the panic? Are they still able to put that on the table, the panic response on the table? Or is it, hey, we already got what we're charging him with? too late for the panic response. That's where I'm kind of lost at. Is this something that they can still put on the table? They can say, hey, we don't want the self-defense claim. We want to go with the panic response because this was a panic response. Is that able? That's what I was thinking. She said, no, they can't go back. So that's where she's kind of losing me at, but maybe I'm hearing her wrong. Maybe I'm understanding wrong, but let's go.
Who are really angry, like these are their kids on either side. Hey guys, I'm just telling you the law. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just telling you what the law is, okay? Now, second, now let's move into the self-defense argument and what needs to be shown there on either way. I'm gonna give it to y'all. Some of y'all not gonna like it, all right? State must defeat self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt, meaning it's actually, now that self-defense has been brought up in these facts, it's the state's burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt it was not self-defense.
This is the perfect pair for your iPhone, and it replaces 3 different chargers. So when I travel, I don't.
This is interesting. This is interesting right now.
And this is likely the biggest issue we're going to have, right? Anthony does not have to prove he acted in self-defense if the defense raises evidence supporting self-defense. Then the burden stays on the state, right? That's what we just said. He doesn't have to prove it. He just has to mention it, which he's already done. Now the state has the burden. Now, however, the prosecution has to convince the jury beyond a reasonable doubt that the killing wasn't justified. There's a million ways they can argue that, but here on these facts, they may argue that Anthony was not facing deadly force. I think that's the most obvious argument, and I think that's the biggest hurdle. He wasn't facing deadly force, and that his belief that deadly force was immediately necessary was unreasonable. They could also show he escalated or provoked the encounter. We'll talk about all of this. And then the defense could argue that Metcalf was the aggressor, that Anthony reasonably believed that he was in danger and that he used the pocket knife only to protect himself. Now, under Texas law, self-defense law, the jury has to focus less on, for example, has to focus on the totality of the circumstances, like who initiated the physical contact. Now, there's a lot of people who are like, but he said, hit me, or whatever, that Carmelo said words to the effect of like, hit me. That is not provocation under the law to allow someone the right to hit them. Austin was the aggressor.
Okay, so just him saying, okay, because that was a big thing that I was looking at too. Like, I just kept saying, hey man, how scared were you really if you kept provoking him? Now, me as a regular person, I consider that provoking. But she's saying obviously by the laws of Texas, that is not considered provoking. By Texas law, that is not considered provoking. Because that was something I was thinking about too, but let's go.
Like, but he said, hit me, or whatever, that Carmelo.
Barbara, are you in Texas too? Is that where you at?
Carmelo said words to the effect of like, hit me. That is not provocation under the law to allow someone the right to hit them. Austin was the aggressor under these facts. And
Barbara, yeah, we took a look at that picture earlier in the live. You would have to go back, but yeah, we did take a look at that picture. But someone came in the chat and said that's not the judge. So I don't know. We can talk about it, but yeah, I did bring it up earlier in the live, though. I don't think you were in here yet, but we did talk about it.
Who initiated the physical contact? Now, there's a lot of people who are like, but he said, hit me, or whatever, that Carmelo said words to the effect of like, hit me. That is not provocation under the law to allow someone the right to hit them. Austin was the aggressor under these facts. An aggressor is someone who assaults the other person first. Austin putting his hands on Anthony under these facts, even if Anthony said, touch me, or whatever, is not an invitation. That is an act of aggression. Sorry if you don't like the law, it's the law. The circumstances include also, was Anthony trapped or was Anthony able to disengage? Was Anthony in a situation where he felt surrounded by other people, or did he disengage? Did Austin's twin or others make Anthony feel outnumbered? Did Anthony warn him not to touch him? Now, here he said something along the lines of like, touch me and see what happens, right? Now, we know in our culture, African-American culture, it is not an invitation. That is like, if you do something to me, I'm going to do something to you. And then also you can.
Hey, I said that in my last live, right? I said that in my last live. I said, what if, okay, let's just say Carmelo did say, you know, hit me and see what happens or whatever. Let's just say he did say that, right? But I also said in my last live, like, what if it was the way he said it? Like maybe he did actually say it out his mouth, but he said it in a way of like, you know how we talk. Like, all right, man, you touch me if you want to. Touch me and see what, yeah, all right, touch me and see what happened then. You know, what if it was just like that? It wasn't so much of him like really telling him, hey, all right, touch me and see what happens or whatever, you know. But what if he was just, you know, simply talking like we do in our culture? Hey, you might don't want to do that, brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just him kind of talking under his breath, but it was loud enough to be heard. Not that he was actually provoking him. I thought I had to think about that too. I thought about that thought too.
His twin or others make Anthony feel outnumbered. Did Anthony warn him not to touch him? Now, here he said something along the lines of like, touch me and see what happens, right? Now, we know in our culture, African-American culture, it is not an invitation. That is like, if you do something to me, I'm going to do something to you. And then also you consider how quickly did the stabbing occur? How quickly did the stabbing occur after the initial interaction? There was some argument that was about 4 minutes on the camera where there was a back and forth there, and whether a reasonable person in Anthony's position would believe deadly force was immediately necessary. Okay. By reasonable person, we mean a reasonable 17-year-old, and we know 17-year-olds are idiots. That's why they can't vote, they can't join the military yet, they can't do a bunch of stuff, right? And so also the size difference will come into play. Now, there have been different reports, but Carmelo was approximately like 145. He was a football receiver. He was much smaller compared to Austin. But okay, let me just, that's the law. Let me just talk in common freaking sense. Let's just talk and regular people words and regular juries. One thing I'm really, really good at is I'm really good at predicting how a jury from a specific demographic may see certain facts and things, because I grew up my entire life. I was a storyteller. You know, my background, I was a child actress, and then I was in like broadcast journalism. I tell stories for a living persuasively. Here's the biggest issue is that we have all been taught throughout our lives that with self-defense, you have to meet force. If you're going to use a weapon, it has to be an equal level of force. And so I don't know why this young man thought he could respond to a punch. Let's just say it was a punch. It's argued that Austin didn't punch him. He shoved him. He pushed him, whatever. I don't know in what universe why even a stupid teenager would think you could respond to a push or a punch with a knife. I think, and this would.
Well, in my eyes, after thinking about it, I'm starting to feel like he felt like he was outnumbered. Not that he wanted to use them. This is just what I'm thinking. This is not fact. This is just what I'm thinking. I'm starting to think that he maybe felt outnumbered. They said they had people laughing at him, yelling at him, screaming at him. And I'm just thinking about, like, when I'm with my dudes, like, if I'm getting confrontational with somebody, right? Or even if my dude is getting confrontational with somebody and I see it might be getting ready to go left, I'm kind of moving in a position to where when my dude get off or when I get off on this dude, somebody is around him on another side of him ready to get off too. Boom, boom, boom. But hey, he gonna get hit from all angles. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm starting to think maybe he looked around and maybe he felt outnumbered, which made him say, hey, it don't look like I can get out of here. Or I'm about to get jumped. Maybe he was scared. Maybe he wasn't a fighter like that. You know, maybe he was. I don't know. I'm just thinking of different things to where maybe he felt he was outnumbered and he went in that bag. Like, okay, hey, somebody gonna take one. You know, I don't know. It's just what I'm thinking. I'm gonna rewind it back just a little. It's not a fact of what I'm saying. I'm just trying to think out the box.
This young man thought he could respond to a punch. Let's just say it was a punch. It's argued that Austin didn't punch him. He shoved him. He pushed him. Whatever. I don't know in what universe why even a stupid teenager would think you could respond to a push or a punch with a knife. I think, and this is what you need to tell your kids, baby, if you want to come out with a knife, you better take some licks. You need to be getting pummeled. You need to get jumped. You're going to have to get jumped before you pull out a knife, boo. If this boy was getting jumped and he pulled out a knife, I think that would be a much easier self-defense, Sal. What do you guys think? But you got to get punched in the face a few times before you pull out a knife, Boogie. Come on now. Get beat up a little bit. Then you could stab him. Hell, I have seen court cases. It was a girl fight and a girl was getting beat up and then pulled out a knife and she still went to jail for stabbing the other girl and the other girl passed. And so I think we can just say, my common sense leads my brain. Okay.
Listen, at the end of the day, it's gonna be how that defense lawyer, how he does that closing argument. He's going to have to really sell self-defense. At the end of the day, it's you know, they say this lawyer is a good lawyer. This defense lawyer is supposed to be. And I was going to ask y'all in the chat, how do y'all feel the defense has done so far? In this case, I was going to ask y'all to let me know about that. But yeah, closing arguments, he's going to have to sell self-defense. I mean, from a 17-year-old point of view, the way I'm hearing it, the way I'm seeing it possibly is he felt he was surrounded. He felt his life was in danger at that point because there was a crowd of people. It's what I would think they would try to convey to the jury is what I'm thinking. I don't know, but I'm no lawyer. I'm no, this is just a regular guy thinking through his thoughts.
Up and then pulled out a knife and she still went to jail for stabbing the other girl and the other girl passed. So I think we can just say, my common sense leads my brain. Okay. I don't see how you get to self-defense with a knife when another person, even at the highest end, I'm just going to say, even if he got punched by Austin and was surrounded by them other people.
To start a podcast with Rivers.
Barbara, I agree with you. But I think it's going to go that way either way. I don't think, no matter how this trial turns out, it's not going to be good either way. It's not going to be good either way. You're going to have the brown people, they're going to be mad if he gets convicted, and you're going to have the white people who are going to be mad if he don't get convicted. And down there, I'm sure they're gonna have security so heightened today at that courthouse, because if or they're gonna have it heightened until a verdict comes in, because I think you got different groups of people down there at that courthouse right now on both sides of the fence, and I think it's gonna get ugly down there. I actually watched a little clip of the YouTuber Nick at Night, Nick at Night, and obviously she must have been, she's down there reporting, and she must have been getting threatened yesterday to the point that they had to get the Black Panthers to surround her. She was in her car crying. I saw a clip of that video. She was in her car crying because they said the people were screaming and yelling at her. They were taking pictures of her. They were videoing her, and they were disrespecting her. And then I saw her in her car, and she had the Black Panthers surrounding her to protect her. But man, listen, I think it's going to get ugly. On either way it happens. Free Papa said, let me see what you said. If he gets convicted, they're going to file for. Yes, I agree. I said that. I said that too. Free Papa. I said I agree. This is what I said too. This is why I did the video that said I think he's going to get convicted, but I see a setup for an appeal. And it's too much on this table that looks too dirty for there not to be an appeal set up. It's too much that they can. It's too much. But let's continue.
It's just the rush.
You weren't punched enough. You got to get some licks to. Now, some people will say, well, what about Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman? Zimmerman was able to argue self-defense, and Zimmerman is the one with the weapon. That always upset me, right? Because Zimmerman was fighting with Trayvon, but Trayvon had no weapon.
Remember in my in my other video, and I might play it again. I might play it again where I said I think he's going to be convicted or a mistrial. I said he's going to be convicted, but I also feel like even if he's convicted, they're going to appeal and he's going to walk. I think he's probably still going to walk through an appeal.
And George Zimmerman was still able to get off. Well, the argument in his case that the defense had was it became deadly force, that Trayvon began to use deadly force when Trayvon started hitting his head against the concrete and George Zimmerman was losing the fight. That was part of it. And then, however, I never understood how they got past the aggressor part, because Zimmerman was absolutely the aggressor here. Here with Austin putting his hands on basically assaulting. I don't even like saying putting his hands. It was an assault. Austin assaulted Carmelo. He did. But even if you say Austin assaulted Carmelo, the question becomes, was the stabbing, was raising it to use a knife reasonable? And I think it would be.
It's going to come down to deadly force. Did it require, you to use deadly force? So, yeah, this is where I say that self-defense, that's an uphill battle.
A lot easier for a jury to get there if he had took a few punches, if it took a few blows, if there was photographs of a black eye or something where it looked like, ooh, he really was getting, Austin was really getting the best of him. And this is why he felt he needed to do that.
Now, Shirley, I did say that too. I have put it on the table. I said, hey, we've seen some crazy cases. We don't know what to expect anymore when it comes to this judicial system, because I have put it on the table. I said, don't be surprised if this jury actually acquits him. You know, it doesn't look good, but hey, don't be surprised if this jury actually acquits.
For that reason, I personally believe the best argument on the defense side, they don't have a lot of good arguments. These facts are not helpful to them. But that the best argument would be saying this wasn't premeditated murder. This was a panic response from a teenager who felt surrounded by other people who, you know.
Okay, so I think I see what she's saying I think she's saying in closing arguments, this is what I feel like she's saying. Okay. I think that's what she's saying, is to convey this to the jury in this way. It wasn't so much self-defense, it was more a panic response. That's what I think she's trying to say. When they do the closing arguments, this is what you should convey to the jury. Not so much self-defense, but I panicked. It was a panic response, is what I'm feeling like she's saying. Because I didn't understand like where she was going with that, but now I think I get it.
But that the best argument would be saying this wasn't premeditated murder. This was a panic response from a teenager who felt surrounded by other people who, you know, were laughing and threatening him and assaulted him, and one who assaulted him. And he did not think that using a pocket knife with a one prick would have resulted this. And he is sorry. He is extremely remorseful. I would have had my client crying throughout that whole trial. There would have been tissues, and it wouldn't have been no noise. It wouldn't have been, no, but there would have been. However, never have I ever seen a defendant cry.
And then that goes into showing remorse for what happened. Not saying you know you're guilty or anything. It just shows remorse for the situation.
In the case in chief, and a lot of attorneys will tell them don't, because it can always be misread. So here's the thing: the key jury question will likely be, even if Austin Metcalf put his hands on Carmelo Anthony, would a reasonable person in Carmelo's position believe stabbing him was immediately necessary to present serious bodily injury?
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
It doesn't have to be to prevent death. It could be to prevent serious bodily injury. That's what it is, okay? Now, there may also, let's talk about manslaughter. If the jury finds that, in fact, no, this wasn't reasonable, then they can convict him of the M elements as long as they do not feel that he panicked and this was a panic response. Now, there can also be a battle over the lesser included offense of perhaps manslaughter. I want you to understand the major difference. It's a big one. Okay. If the jury believes Carmelo caused the unaliving, but lacked the mental state required, meaning Carmelo didn't intentionally do it or knowingly did it, that it was a panic response that caused the death, the sentencing difference between the two, murder and manslaughter, is huge, okay? First degree murder, he's facing up to life in prison. Life. Manslaughter is, under manslaughter, it's 2 to 20. 2 to 20. Now, in Texas, where there's a violent offense, you are eligible for parole. Before I get to that, let me clarify. For the M word, it's 5 years to life. Manslaughter is 2 years to 20 years. You see why that's such an important distinction? That is huge. And in either of the offenses, whether it's the M word or manslaughter, now, a jury this is always messed up in Texas. In either case, you can be eligible for parole after serving half of your time. That's just eligible. You have to do at least half the sentence. Now, the state allegedly had put on the table that they wanted Carmelo to do. They would not give any offer where he didn't serve at least 40 years. which meant he would not even be eligible for parole until 20 years. Some argue that as a
Hey Barbara, my Cash App is $Chief Cali 216. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm get back to this.
panic response under these facts, I think it looked like a panic response, and in my view, supported by him saying, no, he's not going to die, but no, he can't. Like, is he going to? And him asking, is he going to be okay? Is he going to be okay? Supports to me his intention wasn't to make the guy pass away, right? As a result, no, I know there's a lot of people, especially a lot of country folks, that feel you're taking life, you're gonna life.
And my email is if you want to send me something there is chiefcali216@gmail.com. chiefcali216@gmail.com.
It's not how law works, right? When Caucasians kill us all the time, it's not take a life, you get a life. It's what are the circumstances? Was it a drug deal gone bad? Was it a fight that went too far? We're just saying here, whatever is usually takes place, whatever is considered in sentencing, cute little 17-year-old white boys and what would be fair to them should be applied to Carmelo, this cute little black boy. That's all it is.
Yeah, but we know.
But also here's something that's very interesting that I always hated about Texas law. In Texas, a jury, when they consider the sentencing, they are not allowed to consider the fact that Carmelo could be up for parole after serving half the time. But they are told it. So they're told, hey, when you come up with a sentence, Carmelo could get parole after doing half the time. They're told it, but then they say, but you can't consider that when you come up with a sentence. Bitch, please. I've served on a jury before, and we 100% considered it. They did the calculation, and then they cut the bitch in half, which is completely impermissible, but no sentence has ever been overturned to my knowledge for doing that. It is done so commonplace. The other thing that's interesting is this. So many have asked me, well, what happens? So first is the guilt innocence phase. Now, assuming Carmelo is convicted of something, whether it's inward or manslaughter, it goes to the second phase, which is sentencing. The jury in Texas determines the sentence, and it must be unanimous. However, if they are unable to unanimously disagree, guess what happens? I always thought it goes to the judge. When I was on a jury, I was like, oh, we better agree because this judge is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. The judge was Judge Wade. He was the son, literally, of the very conservative Attorney General of Texas that did Roe v. Wade, that took away the right for women to get abortion. That he literally took away the right to get abortions and it went to the Supreme Court. So I was like, oh, we need to come to an agreement because that judge is probably going to give this young man life when I was on the jury. The truth is, if there is no unanimous sentence agreed upon by all the jurors, there's a mistrial. There is a hung jury on sentencing, and they will have to reconvene a whole new jury, but only for sentencing. Go figure. Only for sentencing. So they don't go back over whether he was guilty, but what they do.
What if you could make a song using only your voice? Let's start with the drums. I'm gonna hit drums and click cover. Yes.
This video is almost over, so I'll drop the link and we can just have a conversation about it. We can just have a conversation, about the case if y'all want. I'll drop the link. I think it's about maybe 5 or 10 more minutes. And we can have like a little 30-minute conversation about it. I'll drop the link if anybody wants to come up and just chop it up about it. And tell me what y'all are hearing or what y'all are feeling. We can do that after this video. It's almost done. It's a few more minutes to go.
Have a whole new, they have to impanel, they have to have new questionnaires. That could be a time where you get a black person on the jury, we don't know. And those people together have to come to an agreement on the sentence. And then in conclusion, the last part I'm going to talk about is what does a hung jury look like in Texas? Just to be clear, in the event that all 12 of the jurors.
No, Barbara, I don't see it, Barbara. I don't see anything yet. No, I don't see anything yet, Barbara. But I'll put my email back in the chat again. Maybe it just hasn't come through yet, but I'll put my email back in there. She's coming to a close. She's talking about a hung jury.
Cannot agree on whether it is the M word. Let's assume that that's the only, continues to be the only thing on the table. Then a hung jury, if it's found to be hung, he gets another trial. And perhaps with another trial, I believe in that instance, it would be easier for the defense team to negotiate some type of a plea deal and more reasonable. Right now, it appears that the reason they haven't strongly considered a plea is because the defense feels that whatever the terms that were offered were not reasonable. They were not reasonable, and that he was better off taking his chances with going to trial. Because if you remember, during jury selection, one of the questions defense asked was, would you be open as a juror to considering a lower level sentence, lower than the life, because it's the 5 to life range? Would you be open to considering a lower level sentence for basically a teenager accused of unaliving? And that is because if they get the guilty verdict, they want to know, like, okay, is this someone who's just going to be like a life for life, or is it someone who would be able to take all the facts into consideration to see if they want to grant some form of mercy, whatever that might look like there? So we'll see. But lastly, I want to let you know, if manslaughter is going to be on the table, we will know that before it goes to the jury. What would happen there is both sides come together and agree to what would be the jury.
What's going on, Lampo? What's going on? What's going on? Wait a minute. I got to rewind this part back because she said something about manslaughter. Let me see what she say real quick.
Grant some form of mercy, whatever that might look like there. So we'll see. But lastly, I want to let you know, if manslaughter is going to be on the table, we will know that before it goes to the jury. What would happen there is both sides come together and agree to what would be the jury charge. Or if they can't agree, they present their objections to the judge. And the judge, based on the facts and the evidence that were presented to the trial, if the judge feels that there was at least some evidence that could support a manslaughter charge, and the state wants it to be submitted, then the court could say, yeah, okay, we can include, in addition to the M word, a charge that allows the jury the option to also consider manslaughter.
Okay. All right. So he could still possibly, and I can see that. If they can put that on the table, I can see them going for manslaughter. They gonna try to give him something, but it's just messed up because that'll be on his record for the rest of his life. I don't even think he could go to college with that on there, could he? He couldn't even go to school with that. But we'll talk about it. She's coming to an end. She's bringing it to a close.
However, it's all strategy, because sometimes the government does not even want to put manslaughter on the table because they want that life sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And they may be concerned that if you put manslaughter, he could get less. Here's what's crazy, because the difference is they would rather him have.
Navan, the #1 rated business travel platform, lets your team book work travel in one place. Flights, hotels, cars.
What it means, if the government won't put manslaughter on the table, that means they don't want there to be a chance where Carmelo could get 20 years or less. Because again, for manslaughter, the cap would be 20 years. So that is in effect the state saying, no, we want him to serve at least 20. That's consistent with the alleged offer of 40 to 60 years. Allegedly, the state is saying, hey, if you want to do a plea deal, we'll offer you 40 to 60, which means he would have to do a minimum of 20, a minimum. Mind you, this started at age 27. I'm sorry, at 17. At 17. So he would have to wait till he's 37 to even be eligible for parole. This is an honor student. He's never had an issue with the law, et cetera, et cetera. So I say that to say, we're going to have to see. I think it would be just to put manslaughter on the table. But what's really tricky is, unfortunately, if the defense knew for a fact that there was going to be no manslaughter on the table as a defense attorney, I would have argued, hey, jury, this was manslaughter. It wasn't murder. Similar to the Diddy trial. In the Diddy trial, those lawyers day one for Diddy went in there and said, hey, you guys, this isn't trafficking, it's domestic violence. Why? Because they knew domestic violence wasn't on the table, but they also knew that juries want to be able to say, hey, someone was hurt here. In this instance, here, someone was unalived. They want to be able to say this was a crime. They don't want someone generally to be able to walk away with self-defense unless they're able to show that the deceased person was a true asshole. Unless they're an a-hole, they're like, no, we need some form of justice here. So if it were 100% clear that there would be absolutely no manslaughter offered, baby, if I was a defense in my closing, my closing would be, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we believe this was self-defense, but if you don't believe it was self-defense, it sure as heck was manslaughter, it wasn't murder. This is manslaughter. This is a 17-year-old, don't have good sense. He panicked. He did that, and he was not intentionally trying to take this young boy's life, but he did it. He used an unreasonable level of force. That's what would not get to manslaughter. It's unreasonable. It could be unreasonable, and it was unintentionally unaliving this boy. Correct. So therefore, I think that would be a stronger, probably the strongest possible closing. But again, you can only say that if it is certain that manslaughter isn't on the table. You see what I mean? Because if manslaughter is on the table, they may not want to do that because then they'll get a yes to manslaughter. In other words, if M-word is the only option, right? It's the only option for the jury to check as far as the box on the sheet. If you go in there and say, hey guys, this was manslaughter, not M-word, you have a better chance on the defense side of winning because there might be at least one person. All you need is one person on the jury to say, yep, this was manslaughter. This wasn't murder. I don't think it was premeditated. It was manslaughter. Because remember, for the M-word, it has to be premeditated. They say, nah, I think, because premeditation alone cannot be proven by the fact that someone had a pocket knife. That alone isn't sufficient. You got to take into account all the circumstances. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. I just want to make sure you had a clear understanding. This is just a video on what the law is. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. What are your thoughts on, was this a panic response? And what are your thoughts on whether or not manslaughter should also be on the table? I'm your legal bestie, Attorney Simone. Hit that like and hit that subscribe.
All right, you guys. So I dropped the link in the chat. I don't know if, some of y'all wanted to come up and just give y'all thoughts verbally on what y'all are feeling about the trial. I just dropped it in the chat. Barbara, I don't know what's going on, Barbara. It hasn't come through, Barbara. I haven't seen anything yet. And I got my phone right here in front of me. I don't know why it's not going through. But if you want to come up on the panel and we can chop it up about it. I don't know what you were sending, but it didn't come through yet. But check this out. While I drop the link in the chat, I'm going to play this little video real quick. This is me changing my thoughts about the case from how I saw it at first. So that's just giving y'all time for those who may want to come up on the panel. If nobody comes up, then I'll end it after this video. But check this out. That's going to be that's going to be very interesting. especially with this all white.
Okay, and the jury, that was another thing. The jury, so let me say this. The jury is not black. That's what I'm gonna say.
What up, tribe? Check this out. So earlier today, this morning, myself and Miss Shine, we did a live talking about the Carmelo Anthony trial, and just giving our thoughts and opinions and breaking down some of the things that happened at the start of this trial. Now, I made this video to say I may have to change my prediction. I think I'm gonna have to change my prediction on this trial, right? So my prediction on this trial is that Carmelo Anthony will not meet the criteria for self-defense. That's not gonna fly. Like, he's not going to win the self-defense claim. Also, I felt like he wasn't going to get first-degree murder. He might get a lesser charge, but he's going to get charged. He's going to get charged. And at first I was saying that brother is not going home. He's not going home. That was my first prediction. But as things started to come out about this trial, right, I think I have to possibly change my prediction. My prediction now is that he just might go home. And here's the reason why.
The jury, along with the alternates, is 11 women, 7 men. This also includes the alternates. So it's a total of 18, but 6 are alternates. It's 7 women, 5 men.
There's been some controversy about that as well as there being no black jury members on this trial. So can you explain to me the controversy behind that and how important jury selection is to a case? Can it really define its outcome here?
Yeah, jury selection is everything. If you can get the right jurors for your, who are hopefully going to see the case your way as a prosecutor, you're golden. But don't forget, you need 12 people on that jury who are going to find that you met your burden of proof. As the defense, I only need one person to say, hold on a second, this was a self-defense case, and my client potentially gets an acquittal. So there's the dichotomy in the jury selection. Now, the jury is supposed to reflect the community. It's supposed to be a jury of the defendant's peers. Right. And I think from the defense perspective, they potentially have a get out of jail free card here. Mm-hmm. And as a prosecutor, as a former prosecutor, I cannot believe the prosecution actually made this mistake to exclude all of the African-American jurors, knowing you had an African-American defendant, knowing that you had a bunch of people outside the courthouse who feel that they're not, that their community, the African-American community, is not going to get a fair trial, I think is a big mistake. Huge mistake. You got to remember, as a prosecutor, you're not there just to convict. Your job is to make sure that the defendant gets a fair trial. That's right. And I honestly think if there's a conviction here, I think the appellate court is going to take a very hard look at this. Look at that. And potentially reverse this.
But I can tell you right now, there is some Asians on there. I don't know exactly how many. And there is, Asian out of all people. And then there is another one on there that they classify as other. So I don't know what ethnicity that person is, but it's not that it's all white, but it doesn't have any blacks.
I mean, he's an African-American young man in an African-American community, and he has no African-American jurors to decide his fate. How can that possibly be fair? Right.
All the blacks, they actually struck out. Now, I'm gonna give you my opinion on that. I'm just gonna tell you that automatically is going to work against. It's going to work for him and against him. And I'm going to tell you why it will work for him. Because in the event, now y'all know everybody is supposed to have a fair trial, right? Yeah. Fair trial. And they're supposed to be judged by a jury of their peers, right? All right, so in the event that he gets, let's say, indicted on a very high charge for whatever reason. In the event that that happens, it kind of opens up the door a little bit for, you know, a bias situation. So I just think that for the judge to allow that, he should have at least allowed one, but he made them strike all three. He allowed them to strike all three. Now, we all know how that may work against him, because a lot of those juries were flat out very honest, and they said that they were very biased, and they had to let a lot of them go because they were very honest. You know, some said because he looked like a little kid, you know, I can't, there's no way I can't do this. Then it was like some people said, if he doesn't testify, because, you know, in the self-defense, you don't have the defense doesn't have to testify. And the Toby should ask the jurors, would you hold that against Carmelo Anthony? They said absolutely they would. Absolutely, hands down, they would hold it against him. So they had to let them go, because you can't go into it already having a biased opinion. You just can't do it. And who knows who's to say that the other ones don't already have one? You know what I'm saying? They just didn't say anything. But a lot of them was just, they went in there, they was against Carmelo Anthony from the get, and they wasn't hiding it. So this is gonna be a crazy trial.
When the judge said, "Why are you striking this person?" I think what they said was, "We don't want any teachers on the panel." Right? And when you do that once, okay, sounds okay. When you do it twice, maybe. But you start doing it 3 times and 4 times, you're like, hold on a second, there's a pattern here. And it's the pattern of striking those African-American jurors that I think is going to come back and bite the prosecution, you know, in the proverbial backside. I really do. And I think the appellate court's going to find a problem with this.
Right.
So now, after I started to think about the jury selection, and myself and Miss Sean were on the live, that kind of stayed in my head, like the jury selection. And as I'm talking to Miss Sean on the back end, we're both saying, like, he's not getting a fair trial. He's not being judged by, you know, fairly by his peers. So I'm thinking, yes, he might get convicted. He might get convicted. They might find him guilty. Well, I'm pretty sure they will find him guilty. But where I feel like they probably messed up at is the jury selection. It doesn't seem like he's getting a fair trial, and he's supposed to be able to get a fair trial. And that jury is not looking like a fair trial. It kind of looks like this little town down there is making up their own little rules, doing whatever they want to do. Nobody usually says anything. They do what they want to do. But I got a feeling this might backfire on them. So I had to come back and think, yes, I think he's going to be convicted. I definitely think he's going to be convicted. I definitely think he's not going to get the self-defense claim. But I kind of feel like it's too noticeable. That jury is too noticeable. That it's nobody that relates to him or his kind, and I don't feel like he's probably going to get a fair trial. He's probably already done in the eyes of these jurors and that judge. And I'm kind of feeling like that's going to be the game changer. So maybe if you don't see the defense lawyer fighting so hard, maybe that's what's in his head. Maybe he's sitting here saying, yeah, don't worry about it, Carmelo. Let them convict you. We're going to appeal this, and we're going to get this thrown out. We're going to get this overturned because you're not getting a fair trial, maybe. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. I'm not saying that's a fact that that's going to happen, but I'm kind of predicting that might happen. And that man might actually walk. He might actually go home. I feel like the prosecutor was being thirsty on getting a conviction on this dude, so much so that he struck out anybody that, might have some sympathy on this guy. Yeah, Carmelo just may actually go home. You know, in track, they say it's not a race, it's a marathon. And Carmelo might lose the battle, but in the end, don't be surprised if he wins the war. Just something to think about.
Okay, so that's kind of that's kind of where I'm at with it. Give me 1 second, Barbara. I did get the link. I'm gonna play it, but I'm gonna play it through the speaker. I'm not gonna show the video, but I'm gonna play it. Because I don't know how to. I would have to find this video because I don't know how to play it. I don't have my Facebook hooked up to this, so I'm gonna play the link you sent me. And you guys, the link is in the chat if any of you want to come up and chop it up. And I do want to say shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all who have actually been able to make it out there to the trial. And put your ear to the streets, put your boots to the ground. To be able to hear what's going on. If you've been able to make it out there, shout out to y'all for that. That's what's up. I know I think I've seen Auntie Teresa out there. I believe she's reporting on it. Boots on the ground. I think Amora was out there. I don't know how long she was out there. But I think I seen her. I actually think I seen Amora on a Court TV promo or something like that. I think 2K might have been out there. I don't know who else we know, is out there, but shout out to y'all for actually going out there. If you were able to go out there and put your own ears to the streets and hear what you could hear, because, we know how the media, North Carolina beat is out there. Yeah. So shout out to Nika Knight is out there. Sometimes it takes for us independent media, as some would call us, to go out there and put our own ears to the streets, because we know how the media can change some things around. Also, yeah, me and Miss Sean wasn't able to, y'all know I'm in Montana right now, so me and Miss Sean wasn't able to get out to the Carmelo trial, but we are. Even if I can't go, I'm gonna try to make a way for Miss Sean to get to the Romika Meeks trial. So we are planning on, being present for that trial. We talked about it the other day, and we're gonna, I know she wants to be there for that trial. I know she wanted to be there for the Carmelo trial, but I ended up coming to Montana, so we talked about it the other day about trying to get to the Romika Meeks trial. So we're gonna shoot for that trial also. So shout out to y'all for being there. But let me play this link. Hello Barbara sent me. This video is I've seen some of it. But this clip right here is a guy who Jude Anderson. I don't know who Jude Anderson is, or Judd Anderson. I don't know who that one is. I'm sorry. This guy is saying he's seen the video, okay? The actual video. He's saying that this is not, the video they're showing in court is not the real video. This is what he's saying. And so this is all alleged at this point, because, they're saying only certain people have seen the video. But let me play the video. Hold on 1 second.
It's clear enough where you can see the actual individual raindrops come by the cameras. Okay. That's how clear it is. You actually see them walking up. You see that Carmelo is already up under there. He's under there minding his business. Dodging the rain, or yeah, it was still raining. You know.
Archive T, I dropped the link in the chat. If you want to come up, I'm talking about the Carmelo trial. If you wanted to come up, you ain't got a cam up or nothing. We just, just chopping it up. I'll put the link in the chat again for you. But again, y'all, right now we're listening to a guy who said he was at I can go find this video and you can watch the video. But right now I don't have the video on hand that I can play it because I don't know how to share it to this StreamYard stream. And I don't have my Facebook. I don't know how to do it, but I'm gonna just play it so y'all can hear it. He's saying he's seen the real video though.
So that day we were under a tornado watch. Right. We were under thunderstorm warning, and we know we had already had some light rain then, and it started raining again, and it was over with for the day. Okay. So that's kind of what happened on that day. But they were at a rain delay already, and so during that time when that happened, the twins, their two buddies, and a few other kids, because there was a few kids involved with them. They were all coming from the direction of the middle school, coming walking back up. Right. On the video, you can see those four that actually was involved, and maybe about 3 or 4 others that was with them, skipping up, trying to catch up behind. One veered off probably toward his way to go to the coach and kind of distract them a little bit. And then the other 4 came walking together. One went in front of them, went past. Right. The other 4 went and they surrounded Carmelo. If you're Carmelo, and they showed that on that video. It's on the video. Okay, come on. You can see them walking. I want to say little stuff. I'll put it this way. Okay. They actually tell you when you're watching the video, pay attention to this corner right here, because if you look anywhere else, you might miss different things. Okay. So watch those 4.
Give me a second, y'all. I'm gonna try to put this on the screen because I don't even know if y'all can hear it. Okay. And you know what, Lady Love, that's what I said too. That's why I said in my video, I said, man, don't be surprised if he loses the battle. Carmelo loses the battle, but he ends up winning the war. Barbara, I'm finna put this video on the screen. Hopefully it's the whole video, but it's the same video. Give me 1 second. Let me see. I was trying to find something without commentary, like with him just talking. 1 second, I'm gonna put it on the screen right now.
Recording into social clips automatically. It even creates thumbnails and
You seen the video, John, 2 hours. Was it clear enough or was it fuzzy or what?
No, it was clear. It was it's clear enough where you can see the actual individual raindrops come by the camera.
Okay.
That's how clear it is. You actually see them walking up. You see that Carmelo is already up under there. He's under there minding his business.
Dodging the rain, or
yeah, it was still raining.
Right.
I'm from Little. So that day we were under a tornado watch.
Right.
And we were under thunderstorm warning, and we know we had already had some light rain then, and it started raining again. Then it was over with for the day.
Okay.
So that's kind of what happened on that day. But they were at a rain delay already. And so during that time when that happened, the twins, their two buddies, and a few other kids, because there was a few kids involved with them, they were all coming from the direction of the middle school, coming walking back up.
Right.
On the video, you can see those 4 that actually was involved, and maybe about 3 or 4 others that was with them, skipping up, trying to catch up behind. One veered off probably toward his way to go to the coach and kind of distract him a little bit. And then the other 4 came walking together. One went in front of them, went past.
Right.
The other 4 went and they surrounded Carmelo. If you're Carmelo,
and they showed that on that video.
It's on the video.
Okay, come on.
You can see them walk.
I'm gonna say little stuff.
I'll put it this way.
Okay.
They actually tell you when you're watching the video, pay attention to this corner right here, because if you look anywhere else, you might miss different things.
Okay.
So watch those 4. Here, there are 4 right there coming up.
Right.
That's exactly what they say.
Okay.
And so you have no way to be confused that it's those 4.
Okay.
So they come up, they surround them, and this immediate moment of not even a few seconds of pause, then that's when they jump. And so
they actually did jump him.
Yeah, it wasn't just no touch. It wasn't just all that moment. Yeah, it was a push. It was all kind of things. But Austin pushed, Hunter hit, and then everybody swung. But at the same time,
So it's more than the twins that got some licks.
All 4.
So it showed that in the video.
Yes, in the video. So again, you got Hunter and Austin standing in the middle.
Okay.
And you have the light bright boy here, and you have the darker boy here.
Okay.
I think that's what I remember. So I have to go back and think about it. But that's where they were. One was going up and down while they were talking, and kind of pushing or whatever he was doing. Austin and Hunter was in front. So where they're talking about grabbing bags, Hunter actually said that I grabbed his bag.
Right.
And then later on, he said that that Austin threw the bag.
Okay.
Jeff also said the same thing. And so that's them both antagonizing. And we know under Texas law, I just have the fear that you're about to do something to me and you can get up out of here. Yeah, so you don't have to touch me. But at that point, he still stood there and stopped there. And whatever they say alleged was said, you don't know that until they get to it here. But once they did that, they started hitting him. Carmelo actually was able to back out and try to get away. So he was actually trying to get away the first time. Austin grabbed him, and you can see his hoodie coming out like this, and they brought him back in.
Okay.
And when they brought him back in, that's when you can see Austin put him in a headlock. You can see that all the rest of them are still hitting. That must be when the poke happened, because he was able to get out again. He backed out. He looked to the right. That's where the other little kid was filming, because they got some cell phone footage too. But that's where he was filming. He looked directly at him in his camera, and then he went this way to the left. He went down. He fell. And that's when they realized he was gone, because they were still punching. And when he fell, that's when they all turned around. They started chasing him. Austin tried to go chase him too, but he grabbed his chest. I guess he realized that something happened to him. And that's when he went down a little bit and he fell down. But all three of them were chasing. But Carmelo was so fast, he got away and went around to the coach. And so you can see them on the video pointing toward Carmelo and the coach. And I can imagine, because Carmelo's out of the camera on that moment, that he was telling the coach what happened. And then that's when Hunter said he whipped his head around. That's a true statement. He just wasn't sitting with it. He whipped his head around. You see him on the video. And that's when he walked over to where Austin was. But he never touched him. So all that stuff about him rendering aid and holding his heart, he never did that, because the coach grabbed him and he was holding him. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where the moment went. But they did assault him. And we'll just play the game. Even if it was just a push, you still assaulted him, because it was unwanted. By your own definition in your word of him saying that leave me alone and I'm not going, you assaulted him, period. But they did beat him. And if you look at the not the photo that Fox 4 put out, because that was one that they actually edited, I have the emails to prove it, but the actual Collin County one, you can see the webs and stuff on his eye. You can see the bridge of his nose is swollen. You can see the webs under his neck. And so that's the reason why they edited the one from Fox and kind of airbrushed it. And you can see they put the locks of his hair that got taken out as well.
Let me say this. I have been saying, right? He said, if you listen to the Hunter interview,
Gary,
tell it almost.
I'm so sorry. 22 years. Don't be. I've got recruiters calling me every month. I'll have something in 3 weeks.
Screen. If you listen to the
Secret Service Sam here with a huge update on the Carmelo.
I got this video too. Let me see if I can airdrop it. Barbara just sent me the video showing that there is proof that this guy did see the video. I did see this, Barbara. That this guy did actually see the video. He requested it. I'm gonna see if I can airdrop this video. I just don't know how to play it from my email. That's why, let me see, Secret Service Sam. You know what? I might can pull it up. Give me 1 second, Secret Service. Let me see if they got it on here. I'll show them what you're talking about.
Secret Service Sam here with a huge update on the Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf trial. Morris Dwayne Turner is the man in the video who says he saw. Secret Service Sam here with some insider info from the ground of the Carmelo Anthony Austin met the
I see the video. I just don't know.
Hour-long conversation with him last night. He provided me confirmation.
Oh, okay. This is it. Okay, so I found it, Barbara. I found it. Let me pull it up. So this is Secret Service Sam showing confirmation. So the guy we just heard talking, I know Raw Truth was asking, who is this guy? This guy, I don't know who he is, honestly. But he says he requested public records to see the video of what happened to Carmelo or whatever. Now, give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. The guy, Secret Service Sam, he reached out to the guy, whatever, and the guy actually did request. He actually did request to see the video. So I'm gonna show y'all that. And then I got to get out of here because I got to get some rest before I go into work. But let me type it in. Secret Service Sam. Okay. There we go. History. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put it up on the screen. All right. So this is the guy, Secret Service Sam, who's been putting out the information about the judge knowing the dad and all of that, right? So he also reached out to that guy, the guy that we just watched. Okay. The guy that we just watched. This is Secret Sam saying that he, did actually request to see the video.
Secret Service Sam here with some insider info from the ground at the Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf trial. Now, the Metcalf family was apparently seen outside the court building because they're trying to get Hunter on the stand. They're trying to get him to come. Jeff Roach is hot, allegedly. This is all allegedly. He's not happy because they need Hunter to take that stand, because right now, this case could get dismissed. This is speculating. Hunter has not been available. They took an extended...
I'm sorry. I just, let me see. I played the wrong one. Let me see. Maybe it's the next one because I just played it. Give me 1 second. Maybe it's the other video.
That he requested to see the video.
This is it.
Secret Service Sam here with a huge an Austin Metcalf trial. In the video, who says he saw the actual video. I had an hour-long conversation with him last night. He provided me confirmation that he requested to see the video right here. I have the receipts. We have an email confirming that he had an appointment to see that video right here. I also have an email that proves he viewed the video right here. I also have proof that Sarah Fields, who claimed to have seen the video, did not see the video, but Dwayne did right here. Now, he is not staff at the school. He told me that last night. It was improperly reported. Now, he said he watched it on a 55-inch television, and he believes they intentionally showed people in court grainy footage. He says what he saw was clear. The video he saw was edited into 11 minutes. There's different angles, and they will give it to him once the case is over, and he will send it to me. Now, we know Anthony had a reason to be there because he is friends with Eddie. And Eddie invited him over. They dapped it up, and he's playing down that they're actual friends. People are alleging that Eddie filmed the fight, but somebody deleted it. Now, there are also reports that Austin and Hunter were not supposed to be there, that they were at an alternate at school because they had been suspended from Memorial High School. And when Anthony mentioned that their football team sucked, that triggered Austin. And also, there are alleged reports that Hunter and Austin had a knife. So it is possible that the knife used was not Carmelo's. Now, we have several questions. Why didn't Austin mind his business? Why didn't Carmelo run? Why didn't he just fight and take a whooping? And why did he choose to use a weapon? But in Texas, a stand your ground law, like with Trevion Martin, it was so terrible and tragic. But once he started fighting back George Zimmerman, the stand your ground law allowed him to get off. Now, Greg Willis, the DA, is friends with Jeff Metcalf, who is friends with Jeff Roach, who is the judge. Correction, his name is John Roach. They attended Christmas parties together. They are friends. And we know that friends are going to protect each other, right? We heard Queen Sheba said in court, she saw Jeff Metcalf like instructing witnesses allegedly when they were describing Austin as a bigger person. So it's not far-fetched to imagine that they would delete footage of this fight that was incriminating. Now, if this was a bench trial, it would probably be over because of the friendship. But because it's going to a jury, Judge Roach allegedly is probably freaking out. That's all I got for now, but I wanted you to hear the truth. Secret Service Sam out, Samson for president of the world.
Yeah, this is ugly, man. This whole trial is ugly. Like, it is ugly. You guys, I had one more video I did want to show y'all. Of course, there's a clear video. Man, we're in 2026. You think there's not a clear video? 2026, with all this technology out here, you think there's not a clear video out there? Oh, of course there's a clear video. Listen, I'm an editor myself, right? I'm an editor myself. All you have to do is put that video into your program and into your editing software, and you can put grain on the video. You can make the video grainy in a editing app. I do this. That's an effect in the editing. Yeah, I know about the town being real racist. I wanted to play this last video for y'all, right? It's real short, but I want y'all to tell me, do y'all think this guy has a point in everything he was saying about this trial? As far as the defense, do y'all think the defense dropped the ball in the way they're defending Carmelo? Listen to what this guy has to say and let me know y'all thoughts on this.
All right, prosecution wrapped up its case yesterday, called all its witnesses. Carmelo's team's called 2 witnesses so far. Trial will continue on Monday. The prosecution's winning this case right now because his defense counsel is missing motherfucking opportunities, bro. This case is not that hard. Edwin Parra got up there, made himself look like a fucking clown, saying, yeah, I wouldn't consider him a friend, bro. They had pictures, text message, pictures of him and Carmelo at another track meet 10 days earlier sitting together, pictures of Carmelo in his bedroom playing the fucking guitar. He could have helped defuse the situation, and he didn't. And it's also clear the prosecution did not call Hunter because Hunter was the one that actually started this. This is why Austin got involved. After Carmelo sat down, he's like, who are you? Carmelo's like, I'm a nobody. Okay? And the prosecution and all their witnesses all got up there and been like, yeah, he was provoking the situation. Listen, dude, in no rational world is a dude going to sit down that's 135 pounds and want to fucking 1v20 everybody in a motherfucking tent. They were clearly trying to bully him out the tent, and he just said, fuck you, which gives him standing to stand his ground. Period, end of story. And his defense counsel missed all the motherfucking opportunities in the world to cross-examine all these fucking prosecution witnesses. At the end of cross-examination, all they needed to say, so you're saying that Carmelo confronted the confrontation, correct? Correct. But he didn't throw the first punch, did he? No. And he didn't charge towards Austin, did he? No. And he told Austin, he warned Austin. You saw him put that hand in the bag, and he warned Austin that he had a weapon, correct? Correct. And Austin chose to ignore that warning, correct? Correct. It is a choice, dude. It was Austin's choice to engage in physical contact. Correct? Correct. That's as simple as this shit is, dude. And then following those questions on the question of proportionality, Carmelo was sitting down, correct? And Austin lunged towards him, correct? Correct. And you don't know if Austin fell on that knife, do you? No. So he could have impaled himself with the knife, correct? Well, I don't know. Is it plausible? It's plausible, which is what this case is about, reasonable doubt. You don't know the level of force that was happening. You don't know if Austin came, he pulled it out and fell on the shit. We don't know that shit. That is probable cause. So defense counsel missed every motherfucking opportunity to every single fucking witness that got up there and tried to frame it as this 1v20, some 135-pound kid wanting to fucking just take everybody out. It's not fucking reasonable or believable at motherfucking all. He was a kid that went over to a tent. It was raining. The first thing he said when he sat down was, "This is crazy weather." And then when they asked him who he was like, "I'm a nobody, bro." Which is basically like, "Bro, leave me alone. I'm just chilling." And then they get in a verbal altercation, an altercation that Hunter started. And when Hunter started talking shit, being like, "Well, if you're nobody, you should leave." And then it catches Austin's attention. And Austin walked up five motherfucking steps to Carmelo where he was sitting down. And Carmelo warned, this was Austin's choice. To all you fucking people out there, is just like, Carmelo should have leave. Listen, bro. No, if you're a fucking man and you're just gonna allow any fucking random ass dude to tell you what the fuck to do, and you're gonna put your tail between your legs and be like, "All right, guy, everybody's your daddy, bro." Motherfucker, you're not telling me what to do. Fuck you. That's what Carmelo said. So we don't know about all those things, and his fucking attorneys are not putting the reasonable doubt into the fucking jury's mind with every single one of the prosecution's witnesses. They missed that motherfucking opportunity. And if he goes down, it's because of that. And the prosecution also set up in their opening statements that they had this fucking video. The video is grainy as fuck. That's a problem. You can't come out in opening statements and say, "Oh, we got video of this shit," and then you don't have the video. So his defense counsel better turn this motherfucking shit around, dude, to frame this as a choice, because it was. Everybody's talking shit. It doesn't matter. They're both being provocative at that moment. He didn't have any obligation to leave the fucking tent, legally or otherwise. He had a multi-tool, period. Backpack full of track shit. His bus didn't get there. That's why the tents weren't there. They were coming on another bus. His defense better get this shit together, bro. So defense counsel has missed all these opportunities with every single witness to repeat the choice. This is a case about kids being provocative in a high school tent. One kid standing his ground, not allowing himself to be bullied. And a group of other kids just trying to push him out into the rain because they felt that they owned that tent. But the law is clear. In Texas, you can stand your ground. And under Texas law, Carmelo, in that situation, could stand his ground. And it's what he did. And irrespective of the provocation on both sides, Carmelo warned Austin, "Don't put your hands on me. I don't want physical contact." Any reasonable person in that situation makes that warning to deter another person from lunging towards them. And Austin ignored that warning. And he made a choice to lunge towards Carmelo. And we don't have the evidence to know Carmelo's response. We know that he warned him he had a weapon and he pulled it out. We don't know if the lunge caused Austin to fall on the knife. We don't know if our Carmelo shoved it into him. We don't know. And the prosecution is responsible to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that those actions were not only in self-defense, but that response was disproportionate. We don't have that evidence. We rest our case.
Do y'all think this guy had a point? Hey, it sounded like he should have been Carmelo's defense attorney, huh? Shout out to my brother Bones checking in. Bones, what's happening with you, man? What's good? What's good? That's my brother right there, man. Barbara, I said the same thing, Barbara. I kind of said the same thing, Barbara. I was like, I hope they didn't buy this dude out, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because, okay, so Barbara, okay. So I had that same thought too. Like, did they buy this dude out? Like, did they pay him off to throw this case? You feel what I'm saying? But then also, like I said in my other video, right? I also said, yes, he sure could. Let me tell you, and me and Miss Shine talked about that yesterday, about him being subpoenaed. I was asking Miss Shine, was he subpoenaed? Was Hunter subpoenaed? Yes, he can be arrested. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I learned about being subpoenaed to court. Because when I got shot and I wouldn't testify against the dude, they were in the courtroom. They had no case without me. The prosecution had no case without me. And they were looking for me in the courtroom, but I had already told the prosecutor, I'm not testifying. I'm not testifying. And I will tell you this. I didn't. And because I was subpoenaed, they were able to come arrest me. They came and they arrested me and they made me sit in jail until that dude's court date. Until his court date. They made me sit in court. They arrested me in front of my family because I was subpoenaed. You know, and that's when I found out just how important being subpoenaed is. You know, in the court of law. If you get a subpoena, you got to go to court, or they can come get you. They can come get you. I was thinking that too. Was he bought out or whatever? You know. But then I also thought, Barbara, maybe he feels like they can win in an appeal. Maybe he don't feel like they can win in this situation, but maybe he feel like they can win in an appeal situation, and maybe he's just letting it ride out. You know, maybe he has it up his sleeve because this attorney is supposed to be a real good attorney. You know, he's supposed to be a beast. You know, so I was thinking like, damn, maybe he's going to let him get convicted and come back from appeal. I wanted to show y'all this too before I left. This was what I was talking about earlier with Meek at Night. You know, this is how intense it is down there at that courthouse.
I'm all right. Anyways, I came here to cover a trial, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna give y'all a quick update. We only have a little bit.
She couldn't even talk.
So far there has been 3 witnesses. The first one. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm surrounded by Black Panthers right now, so they protected me. So the first witness was a 17-year-old who goes to Centennial. I'm sorry. I'm gonna come back.
I just wanted to show y'all that real quick before I go. That's how intense it is down there at that courthouse. And that's why I said shout out to y'all who were able to make it to that courthouse and who are out there reporting what's going on. Shout out to y'all for boots on the ground and bringing us back the information, because it is intense out there. I seen videos where you got the white the racist white folks standing on the one side of the street, and you got the black people standing on the other side of the street, our brown people standing on the other side of the street. And this is why I say, man, I feel like at the end of this, it's not going to be good either way. Either way, it's not going to be good. And you know, it's good that those Black Panther brothers, you know, was there to get around that young lady, you know what I'm saying? Because it is intense out there. So, you know, like I said, shout out to y'all who are actually being brave enough to be down there, to bring back the information, and even your interest in bringing back the information. So today is closing arguments, y'all. Hey, I'm going to end this live, but I'm very interested in hearing how these closing remarks go. And you know, hey, we might have a verdict, you know, real soon, you know, so I don't know, y'all. The case is dirty to me. The case is very dirty to me. The jury selection was dirty to me. The media, the hand-picked media is dirty to me. If it's true that the judge knows the dad and the prosecutor, dirty to me. You know what I'm saying? The grainy footage in 2026, dirty to me. So my question to y'all as I leave out of here is, do y'all feel like he's getting a fair trial? No matter what you feel about it. If you feel like he's guilty, cool. If you feel like he's not guilty, cool. But do you feel like the trial is fair? With that being said, I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.
David Banner.
If you could only know my feelings, you would know how much.
Look, fuck all that protesting and marching peacefully. They still gon' find a way to handle us egregiously, legally. If I may get this shit up on my mind now. We born in the battlefield, can't call no time out. Every time now, it's another one of us lying out, crying out. I can't breathe until he dies out. Make me ask myself, what would you die about? I doubt. If nigga been banging since junior high, let them fly on opposition resembling you and I. Race the cracker, give a fuck about it. And never will till they start picking up a couple bodies. When we got killed within some hours, scared a rain shower. The pain hurt, but the cold hard fact of the matter is getting worse. Damn. If I could wish upon a star, I send a special bullet everywhere you hateful bastards are. Pull a string like a Gibson guitar, wait from afar. Slow motion, watch it enter your temple and exit your jaw. Send you all to hell with a scar, a conversation piece. Hope it maybe leads to a joke when you and Satan speak. Yeah, you were patronizing us, we waited patiently. Well, you'll probably give your life to trade a day with me. Call that shit an eye for an eye, my nigga, by any means. Had extended clip before skinny jeans. Now bow and arrows and cop cars with kerosene. That's how I'm feeling.
For me to be all alone. Shoot. All alone.
Fuck that shit. That's how I'm feeling.
For me.
Ain't no guy that calm me down. That's how I'm feeling.
Shoot. All alone.
Fuck that shit, that's how I'm feeling.
I had a dream, me and King saw Zimmerman. We laid low, masked up in a rental van. He killed a child, body was stiff and twisted, man. A mother cried, only one way to fix it, man. How long for the people in the street get tired of the evil, say fuck that. How long will they kneel to the heel of the state with a foot in their face on their bust back? Won't be long for agents of the state get ate like steak cause the people too strong. Who's coming one Sunday, it's blood by Monday, I promise I won't be long. Lame nigga, same nigga. Found out cracks had money on his head. Lame nigga, same nigga. Calling me like Michael, I'm scared. I hug that nigga like Michael did Fredo. Kept a G like Mike Cato. Excessive force, leave a nigga no choice, but a nigga better shoot a shot fatal. Bad boy, tell me what you gonna do when the police kill your mom. Fuck that, I follow Obama when he killed up crackers that killed Brianna. I take that charge stick out my chest, confess to Judge your honor. I'm the truth, my ancestors pray for your honor and fuck your mama.
That's how I'm feeling.
For me, to be all alone. Shoot, all alone.
Fuck that shit. That's how I'm feeling.
For me,
ain't no guy that calm me down there. How I'm feeling.
All alone.
To the broad finish, but we all been it. Need a superhero, can you call in it? That a nine problem, never solved in it. But we got the work down to Albany. Keep it law and order, it's a tall order. Murder after murder, people, y'all killings, our aunts, uncles, our grandchildren. Can't ask for it, gotta take that shit.
Ain't no repentance. Eye for an eye, we want our vengeance. Life for a life. He kill your fiance, kill his wife. Same for his father. Generations of sons and daughters. It's hard to stomach. They say I sound like Khalid Muhammad. I say you got me. We living under these fucking Nazis. What you expected? People rioting, you respect it.
Split decision, gotta pick a side with this division. But we ain't fit for living, we can't protect our women and children. Man, we get sick, that J gon' give us some Clorox or penicillin. Experimenting Tuskegee, showed me you would deceive me.
As the city burned down in the nightfall, 96 Impala, we just bouncing like it's round ball. This ain't the 90s and the youngins ain't scared, y'all. The water boys, they might shoot back at the red dogs. I tell them plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize a secret army and stay unified.
That's how I'm feeling.
For me, to be all alone. Shoot, all alone. Yeah.
Fuck that shit. That's how I'm feeling.
For me,
ain't no guy that calm me down there. How I'm feeling.
All alone.
Man, fuck that shit. That's how I'm feeling. I mean, the truth is, I'm a human, you're a human. Skin color aside, riddle me this. How dare I speak peace to a maniac? The fuck does that make me? I mean, you motherfuckers can bend your knees, man, fold your hands and your Bibles and pray as much as you motherfucking want, but the art of not fighting back was brought to us by Christianity. That was given to us by our oppressor. So you continue to follow that, you continue to follow them. I be goddamn. I tell you what, nigga, you see me down bad, motherfucker on my ass, nigga, don't fail me, nigga, help me, nigga. I'm telling you that, nigga, while I'm right here, nigga.